You had a chance of playing for really the two most iconic franchises in this sport. Being a Celtic, you hear him talking about it. He said last night he chatted with Isaiah Thomas, trying to really teach him about what's it all about. What was it like donning that uniform and learning about that culture, especially at a time where you got to play with the guys who were there for the championship runs?
I caught the Celtics at a tail end of the 80s, heading into the 90s. I was drafted by Red Auerbach in 1991. So just the internal gratitude I have to that franchise for giving me the start in the NBA will never go away from me. But then to have three veterans in Larry Bird, Kevin McHale, and Robert Parrish be the rookie for those three guys coming in and just laying on the floor and looking up in the rafters as a rookie coming from North Carolina, which was a rich tradition in college basketball, to seeing that there was 16 banners up there. There was so many retired jersey numbers, and when you start to learn who those numbers were attached to, then you start to look around the arena and see so many of those people still there, from Bob Cousy to Tommy Heinsohn to Satch Sanders. All of them were there. And so when you hear Paul Pierce give a shout out to Isaiah Thomas and to really give him a little more of a greater sense of the history of what it means to be a Celtic, Paul's one of those guys now. He'll be up in the rafters. He'll be a Hall of Famer. And he exemplifies what it means to play at the highest level in that city of Boston. When the fans celebrate you the way they celebrated him today, you've put in some great work on and off the court in the community. He is one of the fabrics of that city now. He walks in with a Patriot jersey on. You can tell, like Boston, he is a Boston Celtic, but he is a Boston native now to that city, and they will celebrate him for the rest of his life. In
the major four sports, you don't see many of what I think really the example, the Derek Jeters. The guys who are the great player for their franchise and play their whole time. Now look, out of 18 years, 15, not all 18, but it's also nice to see a guy who was drafted build up with the team and then part of the resurgence the way he was, because look, that franchise went into a little bit of a valley. They weren't used to that, and he was part of that trio that was able to bring them back.
Well, yeah, I was a part of that valley. I came in as my rookie year. Larry Bird retired, then Kevin McHale retired the next year, then Robert Parrish.
That's not easy to rebound from.
And
no.
they closed down the Boston Garden. Reggie Lewis passed away. That valley was created by the era I was there, and he caught the tail end of that and started to build it up again, and really had some tough years, but was loyal and true to the Celtics. And in comes Kevin Garnett and Ray Allen and Doc Rivers, and they were able to go on a run of basketball that was more to the community of Boston's liking, what they have been spoiled watching for so many years, and he was the captain and the leader of that.
Do you remember the last time you played in Boston, going back in your final year? Do you remember anything from that experience? And does it get nostalgic when you get to that point in your career where okay, this may be the last time I ever get to step on this court, and for you, one where you were playing when you were drafted?
Well, I didn't know it was going to be my last time. Injuries have a way of doing that in a career as you get into 14, 15 years, like Paul was at, like I was fortunate enough to play. But I do remember every time returning, seeing the same faces and being treated still with the type of love they gave Paul today. Because I spent 6 years there, was one of the captains of the Celtics, and it is. When you see Ed Lacerte, who's been there, Jeff Twiss, you see people in the front office that have been long-standing supporters of all of those athletes that have come through that organization, then you can't help but really pay homage and respect to one of the great franchises for their consistency of excellence.